Where's your other wheel? That is the most common thing people ask you when you're a unicyclist. You get to expect it, and the unicycling community always enjoys discussions about what you say in response. So for instance, keep watching, it'll be along in a minute. Or, I don't need a training wheel anymore. I used to say, I'm a grad student, I can only afford one. It's not strictly true. I have 6. Unicycles are like potato chips. It's really hard to stop with just one. So pretty soon you end up with your regular unicycle for everyday use, your 6-foot giraffe, your mountain unicycle for off-road riding, and in 2003 I bought a commuting unicycle. The defining feature of this one is the size of the wheel. It is 36 inches diameter, okay, which you really kind of have to see to really appreciate. One turn of the pedal sends you nearly twice as far as on a normal size wheel. So this thing is fast. And it's massive. It's got a lot of inertia. It's hard to get it started. It's hard to stop. And with 3 feet of wheel and another foot or so of seat above that, when you ride this thing, your head is like 7 or 8 feet in the air. It is a blast. So not long after getting it, I was out for a pleasant evening's ride, as one does on one's unicycle. And I was still getting used to this one. In particular, I was still really getting used to free mounting. That is, to getting on and riding away without holding on to anything in the process. So on a regular unicycle, free mounting works like this. You put the wheel in front of you, you put a foot on the pedal, push down with your foot, the wheel rolls under you, and you ride off. With the big guy, you put the wheel in front of you, you put a foot on the pedal, and nothing happens. It is too big to move. So what you have to do is sort of leap up and forward, high enough to get on top of it, but not so far you go over the top. There is this very narrow sweet spot where you have to land real quick, find a place for your feet and your butt, and then stay poised up there during the slow transition from immovable object to irresistible force. So I'd ridden a few miles along the Charles River bike path. And I got to the BU Bridge, where I dismounted to cross the street. On the other side, I tried to free mount again. The path there happens to go down a hill. So I jumped up. Because of the hill, the unicycle wasn't where I was expecting it to be, and I missed. And I fell. Not a big deal, actually. Normally, on a regular unicycle, falling is the first thing you learn, how to land safely on your feet. But in this case, because I wasn't used to the size of the wheel, it was so much higher than I was expecting. And again, because of the hill, the ground was so much lower than it should have been. The ground was also not where I was expecting, and I missed the ground as well. Douglas Adams would have you believe that if you throw yourself at the ground and miss, you can fly. I have empirical evidence to the contrary. So when my head cleared and I peeled myself off the pavement, I picked up my unicycle and sat down by the bridge rail, figuring I better sit here for a few minutes and try to wait for, my vision to come back. Oh, and to wait for my chin to stop bleeding. Well, 10 or 15 minutes passed, and it became clear that stopping bleeding was not so much in the cards. It wasn't the kind of injury that would impress anybody here, especially after what we've been hearing even so far tonight, but I was starting to get worried as time went on. And I thought, surely one of these kind passersby will see me sitting in my widening pool of blood and stop to offer assistance. And this is when I learned that a unicycle is a very curious kind of a talisman that confers invisibility upon its wielder. Nobody would look. I think they were getting like a peripheral glimpse of the unicycle and just going, weirdo. Eventually, I had to physically stop somebody, someone with a backpack who looked like she might have a tissue in it. And once she actually turned and looked, she was extremely solicitous. She gave me a whole package of tissues, and I slowly made my way through the entire package of tissues without stopping the bleeding. And it was getting dark, so I took stock. I had a giant unicycle, several dozen tissues soaked in blood, no cell phone, no lights, and no chin. So what did I do? I got back on the unicycle and rode the some miles home with the sodden mass of bloody tissues clamped to my face. And where did I go? As I mentioned, I was a grad student. I went to lab to get some work done. But even there, I wasn't able to get the bleeding to stop after a while, and eventually I went to the University Medical Center. The doctor was examining my chin, and I asked him if he thought I might need stitches. He said, well, really for stitches, you'd need to have some skin to stitch together. Well, they say time heals all wounds. That's what it took in this case. Over the next several months, my chin did grow back. I was able to forego the delicate and risky chin transplant surgery. And the loss of a chin is not actually a career-ending injury. I was able to keep riding the whole time. And I'm still riding today. So, where's your other wheel? It's chained up out front.